I don't think this is going to help after a long work. You know what? I can't. We'll get to Tom Steyer in a second. Let's just do a little bit more fun because Tom Steyer pisses me off.
Oh my God.
So, okay, what do you think would make you feel some genuine sympathy for Andrew Yang?
I mean,
maybe meeting Meghan McCain.
That's where you're going with it.
That's where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
I'm leaning on this heavily. No, because every time I've criticized Andrew Yang, and we will talk about that in a second, among the endless meltdowns that I get from Yang people, and we all get, Matt has had weeks-long arguments with these people on Twitter.
I've been back and forth with Scott Santas.
Oh, is he the... He's one of the big...
He's the it's not left, it's right, it's forward, guys.
Blow me. Jesus Christ.
They love making inexplicable graphs all the time.
Yeah,
they're really funny.
Like, look, this is the human flourishing curve.
That sounds like Tom Steyer's actual campaign slogan. It's
yeah,
not left,
Tom
it's right,
Steyer... Tom Steyer and Yang should team up.
Wasn't Obama in 2012 forward? Wasn't that his campaign slogan?
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, you're right.
Sucks.
Forward to fascism is what I mean.
Yeah. Fast forward through these next 4 years.
4 more years of me, and then an inbred white boy. It's gonna bring you fascism.
Let me tell you what, you're not.
You got it back.
Not ready, white people.
You got it back.
I'm back.
Yeah, you're
Came back.
Barry's back.
Barry's back.
Barry White, that is. Is he alive?
Remember when he just totally dogged Hillary Clinton? That was great. It's just like
Barry White?
No, yeah, Barry White.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Barry White was not going to campaign for Hillary Clinton. No, but the Obama one where it's just like, I had everything queued up for her. Obama had such a no one loathes Hillary Clinton more than me, but Obama's just like total like, everything was fucking great. Yeah, Beyonce, the economy's humming. Yeah. I read that. I was just like,
did I mention Beyonce?
Yeah. It's like, dude, you didn't set her up perfectly, buddy.
You know, Obama.
There was a lot of problems.
There was we just were earlier in the show talking about intellectual arrogance, and that was Obama's biggest problem, and part of the media flowery coverage fetishization of that was that exact same thing. So president of the Harvard Law Review.
Yes, that was like the biggest. That this is seriously the most important credential of these people. So, Andrew Yang supporters though always say he's a really nice guy, and you're being unfair to him. Which is an interesting metric for judging somebody who claims to be running for president. That said, I will say in a collision course between Andrew Yang and Meghan McCain, there is one person that appears like a sentient human being. And the other person is Meghan McCain. Let's check this out.
Closing the wealth gap, especially when it comes to the African-American community. Reparations a part of that?
Well, Martin Luther King championed a dividend for all Americans. I think that's where we should start, $1,000 a month for every American. And then reparations is a whole separate issue because the $1,000 dividend doesn't address the historical legacy of slavery.
Why should rich white people get $1,000 a month?
Well, the great thing is that it'll remind them that they're still an American.
DSA member, Joy Baker.
Shut up. In Alaska,
sorry.
But in Alaska, they have a dividend.
Margin. I love it.
$1,000 a month.
But in Alaska, they have a dividend of $1,000.
Well, I wouldn't feel.
Wait, hold on. Can we just pause real quick?
Yeah.
Wait, did he say, when I said shut up, I thought I heard him say it's because the rich people are still American, right? That's what
no, it would remind them that they're American.
Oh.
Is what he said,
well,
which is slightly better.
That sucked too, but I thought he was trying to pull the whole Joe Biden argument. Like,
No, he was saying it would remind them that they're American. So now,
okay. That's definitely better, but
still sucks.
Annoying.
I like the way I like what Bhaskar said a couple weeks on the show, which is like, if you're running like a pure issue campaign that has no chance of actually winning, like why do you insist on dodging questions like you're actually running with margins? Like just say you support reparations or don't.
Right.
There's like really no need to like equivocate. You're at like 0%.
I am very interested why the media suddenly cares about reparations.
Yes. Why do you think?
Because it was initially a way to go after Bernie, and now it's caught on.
That goes back to 2016. I mean, Hillary Clinton. I remember when Ta-Nehisi Coates published a very thoughtful Coates-style critique of Sanders. I didn't agree with it, but I thought he raised some legitimate critiques. And then people in the Clinton campaign were pushing it. I remember being like,
yeah,
I don't remember.
It's so disingenuous.
I don't see
the
Marcus Garvey section of Hillary Clinton's website. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And even to this day, I think there's one candidate who actually supports reparations as they are properly understood as a policy set. And that's our girl. The real second choice.
Marianne
Williamson.
And hers are entirely insufficient.
I can't believe that you would be running around saying that is true. The number should be higher, but she's the only one that's supporting. I can't believe you run around saying that Warren's the second choice when we both know that Marianne Williamson is running.
I just have to say this. There's not one presidential candidate who will institute reparations if they become president of the United States. I am telling you this now, and I'm frustrated that it's becoming a litmus test in the media because it's just not. It's disingenuous, and Bernie isn't saying he's going to do it because he is not going to lie about it.
What's really disingenuous is that all the other candidate, like what's so disingenuous, it's doubly disingenuous, right? Because like you can go back to Obama actually said like several years like, yeah, it's not going to happen. What we need to do is have programs that disproportionately blah, 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 like making the same argument that actually Sanders supporters made, right? And I understand why people that support reparations want a separate, distinct program that deals specifically with that issue.
Yes.
Absolutely. But the thing that's so amazing is that like you have Sanders not committing to it and then still making his broader social democratic argument, which would have a huge redistributive effect. And then you have, and in this case, Warren is somebody who's done this.
I know.
Harris and Warren and Castro, get the fuck out of here, saying that they support it. And then it's like, literally like, and then you drill into details. You're like, oh, so you mean like you support Professor Doherty's plan to actually set up like a community reinvestment, like a bank that will specifically trigger cash to descendants of slaves, like an actual policy proposal. And then they just go, oh, no. All these other things that we all sort of like broadly support about like social funding will have a redistributive effect. It's like, wow, that's
exactly what Bernie's saying.
But it's what he's saying, although not as broad.
Lying. Yeah.
And it's disrespectful to those who advocate for reparations because that is not what reparations is. I mean, it's profoundly cynical.
Okay. Well, now The View who deeply cares about reparations, all of them sitting at that table.
Meghan McCain, deep thinker.
Need to ask Andrew Yang about it.
It's an extra $1,000 a month.
But in Alaska, they have a dividend of $1,000.
Well, I wouldn't feel right. I mean, when there's still veterans on the street and helpless.
Give it away. But that's what you could use
it away to charity.
That's what he means when he says it reminds you you're in America.
Meghan just can't accept the idea that she could give her $1,000 away to homeless veterans every.
No, it's very upsetting.
You could just do an auto pay, Meghan.
It doesn't. It's not just about what you do for yourself. It's what you do for other folks.
And in Alaska, they give the dividend to everyone in Alaska from the petroleum fund, $1,000 to $2,000 a year.
Wait, can we just? I'm sorry.
Did you see that face?
It's Meghan. It's not just what you do for yourself. It's what you do for other people.
I mean,
what the fuck? Other people? Fuck that.
My father was John McCain.
The only other person I know is John McCain. Did you know there's a boat named after him?
That's not the last glare you're going to get in this clip either.
Oh, yeah.
We're just getting started. In Alaska, they give the dividend to everyone in Alaska from the petroleum fund, $1,000 to $2,000 a year. And it depoliticizes it. It destigmatizes it. It's just everyone gets it. And so there's no, like, oh, you get it, I don't.
Right.
Immigration.
I'm the son of immigrants myself. I think we need to create a path to citizenship over the long term.
So you also have some unusual and I would say unorthodox stances as well. You came out against circumcision.
Unusual.
Why can't you just say unusual or unorthodox?
No, she's
what is the necessary? What is so fucking necessary? Like
because redundancy is intellectualism.
Okay, beautiful. You just summarized it. Yep. Thank you.
Stances as well. You came out against circumcision, correct?
My uncle's Joe Lieberman.
I think parents need to educate themselves on what the health information is. My wife and I obviously made a certain determination, but it should be in the hands of the parents.
In the hands of what?
The parents.
Because when you have a male baby,
Joy
I fucking love Joy Behar.
They try to just toss
Joy with a solid dick.
You also believe in free marriage counseling?
Yeah, the data shows that if you grow up in a two-parent household, certain outcomes are more likely. And so from a societal perspective, it makes perfect sense to try and keep couples together if they want to stay together.
I'm sorry, just look at that face.
I know.
I would never think anything that she could turn into something about her dad, which maybe is what she's doing in her head, I get triggers her. Anything that might threaten her trust fund. He didn't even say the obvious thing, which you should say, which is like, I support Medicare for all and psychiatric care, including marriage counseling, will be covered under it. I have no idea why this specifically set her off, but look at her face.
I have. Yeah.
Why do you think this set her off?
I have difficulty keeping my composure when I'm debating conservatives, specifically on cable shows and stuff. So, or not cable shows, but internet shows that try to act like cable. And so I kind of make that face too.
But not because some like bewildered presidential candidate said that he wants to do marriage counseling. Like, what do you say? Like, no, you
bewildered presidential candidate.
Not somebody saying like, yeah. All right, okay.
Sorry.
Check out this response.
Would that just be like a social worker for every couple in America?
Well, it'd be like a marriage counseling, stipend essentially, where it's like if you decide to seek marriage counseling, then they can just go and get paid by.
My version of marriage counseling is drinking Jack Daniels, shooting some guns, and hanging out. So like my version.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! It hurts so much.
I can't even look. It's so embarrassing to watch this.
You are not some homegirl from Arkansas. You're the daughter of a fucking multi-millionaire senator who ran for president. Drinking Jack Daniels. You sound like you're in a really healthy marriage. Drink our problems away.
I like how like Andrew Yang is so literal that he's hearing that and he's just like, it actually sounds like we probably should deploy somebody to help you out immediately. I crunched some of the numbers, and between you being your father's daughter, which is literally the only reason you're sitting here, and anybody knows who you are, you're not just annoying somebody and accosting waiter at Applebee's somewhere.
Between your intoxication plus your use of guns, I've determined that your husband's in danger.
Yeah, I also understand that your husband is it true that he's an active plagiarizer, at least in the past? Is that actually true?
Yeah, he did plagiarize in the past, at least.
Fun fact.
At least in the past.
And hasn't Meghan McCain basically said that she married her husband because she was like freaked out that Trump was elected?
I mean, she said it definitely hastened the timeline there because of how heady things got.
Beta.
Go and get paid by.
My version of marriage counseling is drinking Jack Daniels, shooting some guns, and hanging out. So like my version is different than it works. No, just like going to a range. So I'm just saying like this universal peg for every hole is always my problem.
Just like going to a range.
Right now. There's not every
American getting loaded for going to the range.
No, just going to a range. That's it. That makes it weirder. You're not. I think that's illegal. Probably not. It's got to be.
Yeah, no.
Should be.
So should we like Andrew Yang more now?
Oh, I mean, was that it?
That was it. That was Andrew Yang having a touch of humanity compared to Meghan McCain.
He's look, I think he's far from the worst candidate in the race. I like that he's trying to be creative, but universal basic income, at least proposed by him, I think presents some real problems. I mean, least, we could cha-ching. Math.
If you just add it on top of everything else, like, look, if Bernie came out and said, in addition to everything else, I'm also going to claw back $1,000 a month for everybody from taxing Amazon. Cool.
Yeah. Well,
but a VAT tax.
Yeah. So that's the biggest problem with his proposal, right? Is that it's paid for by a value-added tax, as was broken down by Current Affairs so brilliantly, and Vox has done some good pieces on it too. Is really, that's a regressive tax. It's a tax on spending, and it's going to affect poor people so much more. And the idea that he's making this argument instead of saying, okay, like, I'll pay for it with a speculative tax on Wall Street. All right, great. Let's do that. Then I'm way more open to hearing that. But why are you trying to implement it through this regressive tax that would disproportionately harm poor people? It's the conservative argument. Sales taxes are conservative. And spending taxes are conservative principles. So it's bewildering to me. It's almost like he didn't even entirely think it through.
I think it's fundamental. You can see in his plan that his version of UBI is a UBI to prevent people from basically falling out and starving in the street. It's meant to protect like concentrations of wealth. That's why he's not willing to talk about it.
Right. And it's why he says it's impossible. I mean, with Mehdi Hassan, and I know there'll be people who immediately freak out and say that he said something slightly different in another interview. But I think he pretty clearly said to Mehdi Hassan that basically something like a Wall Street transaction tax would be politically impossible. So this fusion of like not left, not right, forward, futurism combined with like, oh, well, we can't solve big problems.
Right.
So maybe we can get a little bit of a rebate from Mark Zuckerberg for you to sit in your room and play video games. It's pretty depressing.
No, but I think a lot of people have been talking about his former nonprofit too.
The Manhattan
the Venture for America.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, where he basically what he did is he got very well-off kids from Ivy League schools to go into troubled areas where they then were able to
Did marriage counseling.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they were supposed to create startups that were going to be successful.
They just hired from outside.
They just hired from outside, and these people all of them left those small towns. So basically, what happened is they got an investment from big donors to prop up a bunch of wealthy kids to go into Baltimore for 6 months, then move to Los Angeles.
I think Andrew Yang should do celebrity marriage counseling for VH1 and advocate for UBI in his spare time. I would like to see him counsel Meghan McCain and her husband.
Does VH1 still exist?
It has to still exist. Where else I'm going to see Ghostface deal with his marriage life?
They're going to be subsidized on $1,000 a month.
Yeah. Well, the last thing, too, is I don't understand how, actually, we should probably support UBI immediately. The UBI automatically attached to Patreon. And other.
Yang's going to do some venture capitalist thing with Patreon and institute it into our
probably was like, and then everybody else can have a podcast and the other people can pay for a podcast. And
it's
we found that'd be a really
everyone.
effective way of dealing with the robot apocalypse. But also the other thing too that I don't understand, and people just wave this away, but it's like, okay, maybe not in rural areas, but if you did a UBI in New York, over half of that will immediately go to landlords. Like if you don't couple that with, and you're just making this shit up, you might as well just say, and there'll be a national law that this is a fund that specifically cannot be funneled into added rent or what, like. You would have to immediately set a precaution around that, which they don't do, and I don't understand how you think practically that wouldn't be immediately absorbed into rent.
It would just exacerbate racial issues too. I mean, the fact that it would elevate whiter people in rural areas,
because it would go longer.
People.
Right.
And additionally, it would get rid of the specified safety net programs that help poor, often minority people, sometimes in urban areas. So it would disproportionately help rural areas and harm urban ones. And then on top of it, take away social programs that are beneficial in urban poor areas as well.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't understand. Like, I get the idea and principle of a universal basic income being something that maybe people want to be talking about in the national conversation, but his iteration of it is regressive and based on some fundamentally conservative principles. So I like that he's thinking differently and outside the box, but at the same time, that I really, really don't like how it would be implemented. I think it's terrifying, but you know what? Like, he's never going to be president, so whatever.
Wouldn't it be cool if he started campaigning like Trump, though?
Yeah.
Like, I was just thinking of him being like, "Oh, fuck you, Emma from the Failing Young Turks."
And he's done stuff with TYT. I have this,
Current affairs. Who's Nathan Robinson? The guy's a total loser.
Yeah.
It's not even a real British accent.
Why did he go on Dave Rubin's show? Because of all the things we just said.
Yeah, because of literally everything we just said.
I know, but I guess I'm coming full circle once again back to supporters. Oh, he's a nice guy. Like, I don't even know,
I think he's a snake.
Can you really? You think he's a snake?
Yeah.
Like a snake in the grass. I mean, you can't get along with Dave Rubin for 3 hours unless there's something wrong with you.
I mean, look, he goes on Ben Shapiro's show, he goes on Dave Rubin's show, and then this story comes out about how his Discord has a bunch of racists, and he's fishing where he's fishing.
Yeah.
Fair enough. You've just watched a Michael Brooks show video, and you can watch all of our full main live shows every Tuesday night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And subscribe to get all of the clips you want. We're covering the globe. We're focusing on international relations, the intellectual dark web. We're having fun. We're doing deep dives with a lot of amazing guests. Of course, become a patron for the whole thing at patreon.com/TMBS, or subscribe to this YouTube channel and help us keep growing and get that content out there. Subscribe below.